welcome to Turn the Page, the official podcast of the Syosset Public Library.
Hello, everybody. This is Evelyn Hershkowitz from the Syosset Public Library here at Turn the Page podcast. And with us today, we have our very, very special guest, Julia Whelan, who most of you who are audiobook listeners will probably know her name and her voice. They'll recognize that. And we're here today, though, to talk about her second novel that she wrote. That'll be coming out August 2nd, I believe it is. Is that the correct date? August 2nd. 2022. And for those of you who'd like to put it on hold, please contact us at 516-921-7161, extension 239, and we'll be more than happy to put it on hold for you in the print version, or I'm sure it'll be available on Overdrive in both print and audiobook, which Julia is the narrator of course.
Yes.
So let's welcome Julia, and thank you so much for coming here today with us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah. So why don't we tell everybody what Thank You for Listening, which is the book that's coming out, is all about?
So Thank You for Listening is a very meta read. It is about a former actress turned audiobook narrator who had a tragic incident in her life that has derailed her plans and also soured her on all things romance. But she is given the opportunity to narrate the last novel of a beloved romance novelist. And basically the money is too good to pass up because she's taking care of her failing but beloved grandmother. And in taking on this project, she strikes up a correspondence with the industry's most enigmatic, hottest male narrator, who is her co-narrator for this project. And through getting to know him, she gets to know herself. And it is a journey of self-acceptance and love, and it's about taking risks and what we get when we take risks.
And are any of the characters based on you?
No. I very consciously, because I knew people would probably think it was just metafiction or autofiction, and I very conscientiously made her as different from me as possible. I actually love romance, and I've thoroughly enjoyed recording it, and I love my job. But for Swanee, the main character, she can't totally love her job, even though it's given her everything she wants, because it's not the thing she had planned for her life. And so it's, for me, it wasn't the thing I had planned either, but as soon as I realized how much I loved it and how great it was, I was like, great, fine, full steam ahead. I'm into it.
Well, some of the characters are great. I absolutely love her grandmother, blah blah.
Yes, blah blah.
I love that. Now, is that based on anyone, or that's totally
that is not that is completely made up, other
Wow.
than some of the wonderful older actresses that I've had the privilege of knowing in my life that I've worked with, who just see the world in a very special, unique way, and I adore them. And then I also had I was the caretaker for my grandfather, who at the end of his life was suffering from Alzheimer's as well. And so a lot of that, and I was actually recording a fair bit of romance at the time to take care of him and to facilitate my need to go travel to be with him once a month and take care of things. So I would say actually that's probably the most autobiographical part of the book, is what it's like to watch someone you love and who has been there for you your whole life go through that, and you have to be there for them.
Well, I love your voice when you do her. It's so great.
Oh, you're listening to it?
I'm doing both. I love to
okay.
I love to read a book and listen to a book at the same time. To me, that's like amazing. My most wonderful pleasure. And yes, I'm doing both.
Okay.
Luckily, I was able to get it through NetGalley. So
good.
You know, it's not out yet. I was able to get the audiobook, and I have the print arc, so I'm reading and listening. So I'm getting the best of both worlds, let's say.
Great.
I love it, because you are a fabulous, fabulous narrator.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so you know what? I didn't even do a little biography of you. I really should, shouldn't I? So people know more about
Yes,
you.
only because I like to just sit here and listen to it when people do it.
Okay.
It just
You are an American actress and author. You're best known for your role as Grace Manning on the television family drama series Once and Again, which was on from 1999 to 2002. I used to watch it all the time. I love that show.
oh, you were the one. Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it's more than me. It says that you first appeared on the screen at age 11 and continued to take television roles until you went away to school at Middlebury College. And it says you graduated magna cum laude from Middlebury in 2008. And you spent a year visiting Lincoln College in Oxford. And you returned to film acting in the November 2008 with a role in the fantasy thriller Fading of the Cry.
This is just hilarious to me. I mean, I get it might be true, but it's just really funny to me because this is not like my bio. I mean,
Right.
It's cobbled together and it's mostly correct. It's hilarious where these things are found and where they end up. Like that was a zombie movie that I have literally not thought about since the day I walked off the set. So that's hilarious. Okay.
That's funny. Okay. But you also narrate lots of audiobooks, and let's see, one of the ones I know that most people listening would have listened to is Educated.
Yep.
Which I believe you won an award for that one.
Yes. Yeah. I won the Best Female Narrator Audie Award that year. Yeah.
And
what
in
a great book.
In the book, they go to the Audie Awards.
They do. And can you tell how much I like the fictional exercise of it being in LA as opposed to New York? I was like, if I'm master of this world, then the Audies are going to be in LA one year.
Okay, that's good. So they're always in New York, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I think they did Chicago one year, but and they might have done LA back in the early days, but in the time that I've been going, it's always New York, and it's always like March, and you never know what the weather is going to be. And I'm very, I'm a West Coast girl. I'm sorry, but I'm very.
You went to college in Vermont.
I did, and that's why I have no desire.
You know what it's like.
I know what it's like.
I don't know, because I went to school upstate New York on a lake with snow that never stopped falling. So
the lake effect. The lake effect is the very underappreciated dynamic, which is like the Middlebury is on Lake Champlain, same thing. Like it is
on Lake Ontario.
Yeah.
It just never. It's once winter, even before winter hits. Once October 31st hits, that's it. It's downhill from there. So
it's my own fault. When I toured the campus, I was there on like October 13th and it was snowing. I should have. I mean, I did this to myself, but that's okay.
But then you got to go back to California, so you were.
I did.
You were able to do that without.
I thawed.
You were smart. Nope, I'm still in New York. We have the 4 seasons, and winter is not the best. So
no.
So now you have 3 careers. You're an author, a narrator, and you were an actress. Which is your favorite?
Oh man. Well, I think they all inform the other. I mean, that's how I've always felt about it. I obviously the narration work that I do is deeply informed by the acting background that I have and the acting training that I have and just the years under my belt that I've been doing it. But it's also informed by the writer in me. And, when I went to school, when I went to Middlebury, I didn't do theater there. I took a break from acting and I really focused on writing. And so I graduated with an English and creative writing degree, and I've been writing nonstop that whole time, whether it's been novels or failed novels or screenplays. But I've been a writer as long as I've been an actor. And so I think that the narration is really kind of the Venn diagram of those 2 parts of my brain and my skill set and the things I'm passionate about. So I can't separate at this point. I don't miss, let me put it that way. At this point, I don't miss on-camera acting because I don't miss Hollywood. Like I don't miss the rigors of that industry, which I go into a little bit in Thank You for Listening. I don't miss having to organize my life around constantly being available for opportunities that come up. I've just become very comfortable narrating and choosing the work I get to do and writing. And as long as people are letting me do all of those things, I'm going to just keep my head down and keep doing them.
How did you have time to write this book with all your with your narrating schedule?
I made time. When I wrote my first book, my Oxford Year, I was cramming it into a really intense narrating schedule because I was still kind of building my career, and I was narrating 70 books a year. And writing that book was just, it was a really debilitating process that I think took objectively too much out of me. I'm not one of those people that believes in like, you have to suffer for your art. And so when I promised myself that when I wrote a second book, I was only going to do it if it didn't have to come at the expense of myself. And so I just had to plan for that and make sure that financially I could afford to step back a little bit. And that's why it took 4 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
There's 4 years between books because I just wanted to write it not under personal duress. I didn't want to do that. Now, the joke of that is all of my like best laid plans and good intentions, I ended up writing this smack dab in the middle of the pandemic.
Right.
When like writing a rom-com when nothing is romantic or funny was challenging. And I wasn't planning on that. But overall, you have to make the time if you want to do it. You got to make the time.
Yeah. And writing, I guess, is a solo act, just like narrating a book.
Yeah. Yeah.
So from, during the pandemic, it really didn't change anything for you, right? You were pretty much either in your
my day job
recording.
didn't change. Exactly. Right. And if anything, I think part of the reason that I was able to write this as quickly as I did, which is not fast by other writers' standards necessarily, but was fast for me. But part of that was like my entire travel calendar just was erased. Like I was suddenly knew I was going to be home for a very solid chunk of time, and I could create a structure and a schedule that would allow me to do this, that didn't have me leaving. Normally it's like between book events or going into studios occasionally, or just general travel, because that's my one vice is travel. It's like I was not usually home for more than a few weeks at a time. Oh, okay. And so having that just kind of disappear off my calendar helped me make the time to write, for sure.
Well, you have the booth in your house, so you record right there, or do you go to a studio?
Exactly. Yeah. So that's why the day job didn't change that much for me. I've been recording from home pretty much like 95% of the books I record from home. And I've been doing that since I'd say 2014, 2015. So other than publishing timelines kind of imploding around me at the beginning, where publishers were pushing publication dates for books that I'd done or dropping them in, or like no one knew what was going on. Other than that, the actual day-to-day work didn't change. I was very lucky.
Right. And in the book, you have somebody's house that they converted into a studio. Is that based on truth? I mean, does that happen too?
It does happen. Yeah. There's actually a studio in LA. There's two, they have two studios actually. The Dion Audio, which is a big audio publisher and producer, and studio, have taken over a couple of houses and have booths in each room. And then there's a couple of other studios as well. Mosaic Audio is like that. So, which, creates that, I miss going into the studio. I kind of got my training when I was starting out, before people really had home studios. You would go into these studios and you would get to talk to other narrators and producers and the engineers. And it was a much more kind of collaborative, kind of felt like a repertory theater company a little bit. Like you'd see people in the lunchroom, quote unquote, the kitchen. You'd have conversations, and then we all just kind of went to our own islands when we started doing home narration.
How many hours a day do you record?
I try not to record more than 5, which gives me about 2.5 finished hours of audio. So in the booth, I try not to do more than 5 hours, but then there's the prep work, the admin, obviously, the word lists, the figuring out what I'm going to do when I get into the booth. So I usually I get up at like about 6 and I wind down for the day around 7.
What?
Usually. Yeah. Well, if I'm
That's
going
a
to
long-
write and get in the booth, then 7 p.m. obviously, not
I
7
know that's a
a.m.
long day.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Are you going to be going out on tour for this book? Do you have a book tour planned?
Have a couple of dates. I'm actually going to be in New York
Oh,
for the actual launch.
oh, nice.
And
How come?
yeah. So wait, sorry, say that
How
again.
come you're coming here?
I have to be in Washington, D.C. Have to be, whatever. This is a joy, but I have to be in Washington, D.C. to see a friend at the opening night of a musical that he's in called if anyone's in DC, you should go see it. It's called American Prophet, and it's the Frederick Douglass story.
Oh,
And so my friend is playing Frederick Douglass, and I
nice.
can't wait to go see him do that. So the timing of that is I was going to be on the East Coast for that, and then I figured why not just come up to New York for the actual launch.
Wow. So where's it
So
going to be? In a bookstore? Or-
yeah, so it's a book club bar on actually Wednesday, August 3rd, not the 2nd. And then I'm flying back to LA and have definitely an event at the Ripped Bodice, the romance bookstore in LA on the 6th with Taylor Jenkins Reid. And
Oh.
then I've got a couple of Bay Area events.
Very nice. I
coming up
actually
as
have
well,
Taylor
but
Jenkins Reid's review of the book. So, A Perfectly Intoxicating Delight. Thank you for listening. Is a witty, clever, and open-hearted love story full of delicious twists on all your favorite romance tropes. Julia Whelan has already proven herself to be a singular, wry voice in fiction, but with thank you for listening, she is something truly special. A story so remarkable and original that only she could write it. A must-read for anyone who loves a good love story. And that's the famous Taylor Jenkins Reid.
God, it's like I knew you were gonna do that. It's like I just teed you right up into that.
Yeah, we can't keep her books on the shelf, so
No, I mean,
you let her
she's
know.
just
I mean, her
remarkable.
books just they're flying out of here. We cannot keep them on the shelf. And she's
Well,
got a
and the
new book
truly,
coming out
she does. I know they
the
slipped
end of
this in.
August.
They did.
Harry
Yeah,
Soto.
which I've it's a full cast. It's another full cast audio, like Daisy Jones.
Oh, Daisy Jones is
So
amazing. Were you in Daisy Jones?
I was the
Okay.
narrator of Daisy Jones.
Okay. That is just one of my favorite all-time audiobooks.
It's amazing. It is
Mhm.
truly a defining audiobook of the
Right.
medium to me. It's
When-
like whenever people are like, what are the books that best represent
Yeah.
audio? I'm like, Daisy Jones.
And you know what? Whenever somebody wants to take the physical book, I'm like, do you listen to audio? Like I have tried to convince so many people who are not audiobook listeners at all to
Well,
listen
because
to
it's kind of a
Daisy
gateway
Jones.
audiobook. Like it's a gateway audiobook. Like
Yeah.
if you could listen to a podcast or like an oral history of something, then
Mhm.
you can enjoy this audiobook. This is not a
Right.
typical audiobook. So
Right.
like it's a good gateway one. I recommend that too
Yeah.
for people who don't do audiobooks.
Right. It's absolutely fabulous. It really is. It's definitely one of my top audiobooks, no doubt about it. Another one that was a top audiobook was The Help.
Oh yes,
That
yeah.
was also fabulous too. And some of the people that
Yeah.
narrated that actually then started the movie. So that was a fabulous audiobook also.
Oh.
Yeah. What is one of
Very
your
cool. Yeah,
favorite
there's some
audiobooks that you narrated besides
ooh.
Daisy Jones, of course?
Oh man. I mean, I've done almost 500 at this
Oh
point,
my
if not
goodness.
over. So like that's a very hard. I mean, when they say it's like choosing between children, I don't know, it's
Right,
like choosing
right.
between an entire high school class. Um, I'm I mean, for me, I look at books because I love so many of the books I've narrated, and all of Taylor's books are definitely up there. And it's because for me, there's books that speak to me as just a reader, like as an English major, as a book nerd, they're the books that I love. And then there are the books that have kind of been mile markers in my own career,
Mhm.
like The Witness by Nora Roberts, like Gone Girl,
Right.
Educated, as you said. Like there's books that have really meant something to me. Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. But most recently I did there's The Latecomer by Jean Hanff Korelitz.
I haven't
which
gotten to
is
that one, but it's definitely high on my list.
oh, it's so beautiful. She's
Yeah.
just
I've
got
read some
one
of
of
her other
those
books. Yeah.
voices. Oh, she's just got one of those voices. She's just so good. The Measure, which was a debut novel by Nikki Ehrlich, who
Also on my list, way up on top.
great concept, great book club book,
Yeah.
like endless discussions. That was a dinner table discussion. I'd come out of the booth and then just be like, okay, so I have to talk about this book. And Abby Jimenez's Part of Your World,
Another great
Book
book.
Lovers by Emily Henry. Like I've had like,
you are so lucky. You do so many of the greatest books.
I'm honestly, and this is why as long as they'll have me, I'm going to stay doing this job, because at this point they give gold to me on a platter. I'm so lucky.
Did you do all of Emily Henry's?
Yeah.
All three.
And two of her YA novels as well.
Oh, okay.
And that's where I first got to know her. Like, it's funny because I think, people will ask me, what are some books you could bring attention to, any books that are under our radar? And my answer to that used to be Taylor Jenkins Reid's Backlist, because I did not think she was ever getting the credit she deserved. And then Emily Henry, because her YA is so brilliant. It's so, so good. And we connected over that years ago. And then I'm just so thrilled to see her success in adult, because she deserves it. And she also is she's put in the dues, and she's an amazing writer and literary citizen. She's just same way with Taylor. Like, these are just selfless, talented, good businesswomen, good friends, good support. They're really, honestly, it's just one of those. I'm just so grateful for them.
The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, we can't keep on the shelf either. We have 20 copies, and they're out constantly.
See, I mean, I love the journey of that book. Like, that was a sleeper hit. Like, that was, that I read that and I just was like sobbing on a plane reading it. And I just was like, Taylor, what did you do? Like, this is going to be huge. And then it kind of wasn't.
Right.
And then it just exploded.
I think it's on like #1 on the paperback bestseller list now. I think it's just
it lives on, the audio is on all of the bestseller lists and has been for a couple of years now. It just lives, and it's oh man, wow, what a story.
Yeah, it's amazing so that and another author that we can't keep on the shelf is Colleen Hoover. Yeah,
same thing with Colleen. Like, that's someone who, again, has just been so no, I don't know her. I've never done one of her books, actually. No, but that's another one that it's like, I love seeing her success, because again, this is just someone who just was doing the work, she was
independently publishing her books.
Churning it out, believed in herself. It created a great repartee with her fans, and it's a whole community. And then like, it was like she was waiting for TikTok to be invented.
Do you have a favorite genre that you like to narrate?
That I like to narrate? No, I like good books. I don't have genres that I like more than others or avoid. To me, it's all about execution, and it's just I will read anything.
Because your main character is staying away from romance.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. But
that's not you.
That's not me. No, that's not me. There was definitely a time in my life when I was doing more romance, because I was like the main character in Thank You for Listening. I was recording it under a pseudonym, and doing a lot of indie romance. And again, those I really love doing it. The thing that became why I pulled back from doing it was because indie romance authors are so prolific that you sign on to do a series. And like, I never wanted to leave mid-series. So you'd sign on to do a series, but then I would do like 3 or 4 books for them a year, and it would just keep going. And I was like, I don't actually have the time to be managing like 4 or 5 different series. It's too many books. So, but they also, those novelists taught me a lot about the business of it, and how fan service and how good they are at what they do, and just the reliability and the really giving your fans what they want. I love that community. I really do.
Do a lot of narrators use pseudonyms, like for different series and stuff?
Yeah, we do. I talk about this a little bit in the book, but I think, as I start doing interviews and start talking about this, I really want to make it clear to people who are maybe uninitiated into romance audio, like why we do it. And everyone has a different reason. And for some people, it's as simple as the same way romance authors will often have different names depending on the type of, what they write, or they'll change names if they go into a different category. It's to keep the branding clear, because like I read the Princess in Black series, right? I read children's books, and I don't necessarily want them to be able to stumble onto
Right.
a romance novel that I've done.
Well, you're talking like erotic romance, like real.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, all different 50 shades of romance, like depending on, it changes. And then for me personally, like for me, it wasn't a branding issue so much as because I was a child actor and having been well known at a certain time, I've had my fair share of unsavory characters, in and out of my life, and stalkery sort of situations. And I did not want those people who were, ill, and who were fascinated with me as a child to be able to hear me recording, to reading this sort of content to them. That made me very uncomfortable. And that was at the beginning of my career where I was still doing on camera as well. And so now I feel differently about it. Now I don't care. There's a part of me that's like, oh, whatever, come for me. Who cares? I will end you. But everyone has different reasons. Some people have kids in school, or they live that they don't want, the teachers or the parents to know that they do this. Some people are in conservative parts of the country, or there's still a lot of shame wrapped up in this. And so I always, there shouldn't be, of course there shouldn't be. And then some people are very open about it. But I think that the main thing is, I notice a lot of listeners, sometimes when they're not educated to this, they think they're helping other listeners by saying, well, if you like Julia Whelan's work, you can hear her under this name as well. And I just want to remind people that we make very conscious decisions about our personal life and professional life, and you don't be casual with outing people without their consent. That's really the main thing. We have reasons for this, so please don't blow up narrators' pseudonyms online, even if you think you're doing a service to other listeners.
Well, thank you for that explanation. I'm very glad to hear that.
Yeah, and no, and it requires an explanation. It's not a natural thing.
I agree.
It requires it. Yeah.
No, because I never understood why people use pseudonyms, why they just don't use. And also it says, like, for instance, so-and-so as, so, like you're already giving it out. So what's the difference? If you're hiding it, I understand for reasons for
yeah, and like I said, some people are very open about it. You can go to their Instagram and they will say that right in their bio, or you can go to their website and they will acknowledge it. Like it's a, it just do the extra step of kind of researching. Do they talk publicly about this, or do they not?
Got it.
Yeah.
And now I have another review from another favorite author. She's only written one book, but it's also a fabulous book. Robin Lee, The Idea of You. And she said, an absolutely exquisite story that made me laugh out loud, weep on multiple occasions, and stare off into the yonder, wondering how Julia Whelan's fabulous mind works. Thank you for listening, dissects, analyzes, and reassembles the romance genre and all its tropes in a way that is not only brilliant, but managed to melt my cold anti-HEA heart. God, what an electric read. And that's Robin Lee from The Idea of You, which everybody wants Robin Lee to write another book. So
I know, but they want a sequel, and I just need you all to stop bothering her for a sequel. Just stop it.
Did you narrate her book
the way it is? No, she narrated her book.
Well, she's an actress also. So.
Yes, exactly. So I gave her some tips, but no, she did her own audio, and it's incredible.
Yeah.
She did Daisy Jones too. She's in Daisy Jones.
Right. Yes, she is.
Yeah.
So you guys all did it separately. You weren't together at any point, or were you? Were some of the actors? Nobody.
Nope. All recorded separately.
That's unbelievable. I don't understand how to do that.
Yeah.
That's why I am not an actress or in the narration business. I'm in the business of giving great books for people to read or listen to, of course. To me,
we
it's
need
one and
you.
the same.
We need you though. Like
Right.
that's the service you provide.
Yeah, it's,
That's
you
why
know
you're
what, to me,
amazing.
it's one and the same. If you listen or you read, it's just you're getting a great story, whether it's through your eyes or your ears, it doesn't matter. It's just
Nope, and it's actually reading comprehension. There's now data, there's studies that show it
Mhm.
is the same comprehension whether you read or you listen. And obviously, I'm not judging people who just don't like audiobooks. That's
Right.
totally fair. It's the same thing. People are like, no, I have to hold a physical book. I can't do right? So I don't judge that, but definitely don't denigrate people for
Right.
you didn't actually read the book if you listen to it. It's
Right.
not true. Scientifically, it's not true.
I did my
It's
I did my
ableist.
research
Just
paper
stop.
and I did my research paper in library school on that
Oh,
exact topic. Yep. Because I'm
well, there
like,
you go.
I have been a strong proponent for audiobooks for a very, very, very long time. So I just think they're the greatest thing in the world. I
Well,
absolutely love them. And
I
you are one
agree.
of the best. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Are you
Oh, well,
working on a
thank
new
you.
book now?
I am.
Wow.
I'm dabbling. I kind of I have a couple of ideas I'm juggling for the next like big book, but in the meantime, I have been actually working on the book that they are recording in Thank You for Listening,
Oh,
which is
get out of
about
here. That's so
yeah,
cool.
yeah, because I had to come up with so much of the story and the characters and
Right,
some
right.
dialogue for the book within a book that I was like, actually, this is kind of a great story, but I'm writing it as the author, as June French, as the fictional author.
Okay.
So it's got a different tone. It's a very different tone. But it is about for people who haven't read the book yet, the premise is that it's about a descendant of Casanova, who is basically a gigolo.
Mhm.
And he makes a deal with a woman that was like the one that got away for him after her kind of ne'er-do-well husband dies, and she needs to get her groove back. And what she has to offer him is that she's very well connected in the art world, and he is an artist, and so they decide that they can strike this bargain. And you know, but can they keep their deal strictly professional? That's of course the question.
Okay, very nice. So we'll look forward to that one. But I thank you so much for talking to us. And your book is wonderful. Thank you for listening, by Julia Whelan. It's a great title,
Thank you.
a great
Thank you.
story. And I look forward to the story about Casanova. So what year does that take place?
That's contemporary. It's
Oh, it
modern,
is.
but
Okay.
but I have no idea what I'm going to do with it yet, if I'm going to do anything with it. I'm playing
Okay.
around. So no promises, but it's been kind of fun so far, I gotta say.
Yeah. Well, good luck on your book tour in Washington, D.C. See your friends play and then coming to New
Yeah,
York. That's
I'm
great.
excited. New York, I can't wait. It's been so long. It's
Yeah.
been so long.
You know what? I haven't been there at all, and I only live an hour away. So last time I went was, let's see, I went to see the Billy Joel concert in November of 2019. That's the last time I've been in New York City.
Nice. Yeah, it was March of 2020 for me. It was
Mhm.
after the Audis. That night was like the next day I flew out to Europe and then almost got stuck there.
Oh, no.
But it was like March 4th, 2020, something like that. So
Yeah.
I can't wait to be back.
Okay, enjoy it. Have a great time. Good luck with the
Thank
success of
you.
the book. It's wonderful. I'm sure
Thank you,
everybody's going to
Evelyn.
love it. And listen to it on audio, everybody.
Yes, please do.
Of course, she's going to narrate it. It's wonderful. So I thank you, Julia, so much. It's always so nice to speak with you. And I know
love
your
it. I
voice
love
very
it.
well. You know how many times I pop in an audiobook without looking at the narrator and go, oh, it's Julia. And I'm
Oh,
so
good.
happy and thankful that it is. So
Oh, good.
thank you.
Well, thank you.
So we're going to close this chapter of Turn the Page. This is Evelyn, Reader Services Librarian, and we were here today with Julia Whelan with her new book, Thank You for Listening, which comes out August 2nd.
It's time to close this chapter of Turn the Page. Join us for the next episode.